What's going on, guys? Snow's here and no news today. We're actually going to take a look at the BenQ 3210R, a beauty of a monitor. I've been testing it for a while, but is it worth your money? Well, let's find out on your boot sequence. All right, first off, let's just get that unwieldy thing out of the way and start with what was in the box. You get an HDMI cable, a DisplayPort cable, and a USB 3.1 cable for the monitor's included USB hub. And of course, you have a power cable. Honestly, for them to include 2 display cables is pretty generous. You even get a little remote for the monitor, but we'll get back to that. So how do you put it together? Well, it's pretty easy and it's toolless. Just fit the thing inside of the other thing and screw it tight. Then to mount the screen, leave it in the box, that's important, and snap in the base to the back of the monitor. Don't put it on a flat surface because you don't want to end up with a flat screen paperweight. All right, now that it's all mounted together, let's move on to the design. The EX3210R has a very familiar look from the front, the typical gamer aesthetic with a V-shaped base. And I know it might not be for everyone, but I really like the orange accents on the base. On the back of the display, there's some lighting in the form of an X shape. It has 9 different colors and 6 different lighting effects, all controlled by the monitor's OSD. That's the menu for the monitor. I really like the stand. It's really sturdy, well built, and functional. It has all of the adjustments you might need for a curved monitor, so height, pan, and tilt. Curved monitors don't do so well in portrait. You also have the option to mount it to a monitor arm since it does support VESA and the measurement is 100 by 100. So good design overall, I really like it. But of course it's a gaming monitor, so let's talk about the hardware. First, it has 2 HDMI 2.0 ports and 1 DisplayPort. Now, keep in mind that 165 Hz is limited to DisplayPort only. Like I said earlier, it also doubles as a USB hub with 2 inputs, and it also has a headphone jack pass-through. Now let's move on to the screen. It's a 31.5-inch display with a resolution of 2560 by 1440. This is really the maximum size that I would personally recommend for 1440p. Past that and things look a little less crispy. The VA panel in this thing has a MPRT, or a moving picture response time, of 1 millisecond, and it has a refresh rate of up to 165 Hz. Now this means nothing if the gray-to-gray response is bad or if there's artifacting, and during my testing, I was pleasantly surprised. I saw 0 corona artifacts in the UFO tests, and the ghosting that you sometimes see on high contrast scenes with a VA panel, well, yeah, I saw none of that. The monitor also has blur reduction, which works very well, and it also has an option called AMA, or Advanced Motion Accelerator, which will crank up the voltage on the LCD, and that actually improves the gray-to-gray response time and overall crispiness of the image by a lot. Just watch out because you might get some color fringing on the highest setting. I noticed it in the blur buster test, but not at all during gaming, which is more important, so well done, BenQ. The EX3210R also supports FreeSync Premium Pro. The advantage here is the support for HDR, which this monitor has. HDR is definitely noticeable, but it's very much an entry-level experience given its 400 nit peak brightness. That's why it has a HDR 400 rating. Moving on to color, it's pretty good. It has a 90% coverage of DTI-P3, which in my opinion, for this price, is the minimum that I expect. Now, let's move on to the elephant in the room, the curve. Now I know curved screens aren't for everybody, but you can't knock it till you try it. And this monitor has a curvature of 1000R, which is pretty tight. Apparently 1000R is also the curvature of the eye. Anyways, in my experience, the entire screen was always facing me, and I didn't get any kind of weird color shift on the edges of that giant screen like I do with my Samsung G9. I mean, the G9 is 49 inches wide, so it's forgiven. Now, a curved display obviously introduces some challenges challenges. For example, Backlight Bleed. Presented with a full black screen, yeah, it's not great. But when I was watching a movie or playing a game, I didn't notice it at all. So good on you, BenQ. Now, there's another piece of hardware on this monitor that really surprised me, and that's the speakers. I'm saying that because your average monitor usually has a dumpster fire pair of speakers. They're backfiring, tinny, or they're just plain bad. Then you have your more upscaled monitors, the ones that actually make the top 10 list of best speakers and monitors. They usually have a pair of 1.5, 2, or maybe 3 watt speakers. In my opinion, those are still unusable as daily drivers. The speakers on this monitor though, they're actually good. Take a listen. The monitor is equipped with two 2-watt speakers and one 5-watt woofer in the back. You actually have some bass response here, and the stereo imaging is great. My only gripe has been the fact that it's heavily tuned by tremolo, so the coloring is very pronounced. Still, this is the best set of speakers I've seen on a computer monitor. I wouldn't say they replace a set of speakers with a dedicated woofer, but if you're low on desk space, these are a godsend. And then we got the features. Ah yes, the features, and this monitor has a lot of them. First, and this one's great for PS5 users, you have a higher than native resolution target. That is awesome if you have or plan to use a PS5 on it. That's because the PS5 doesn't support 1440p, which means that on some other monitors, you would be stuck at 1080p gameplay blown up to 1440p. With that monitor, you have a 4K image displayed on a 1440p display. Much better. Another cool feature is scenario mapping. Each of your inputs can have all of their settings saved on their own. So if you want, I don't know, high brightness on HDMI 1, but sRGB mode for HDMI 2, or DisplayPort, you want to have sRGB mode, well, the monitor is going to remember each setting for each input. Pretty cool. Something else you'll find in the box is of course a remote, and personally I love it. It's super convenient, especially if this is going to be your main monitor for your console, your computer, and whatever else you might use. Then we come to what I like to call the image enhancers. They're a nice addition, but I can see someone just turning them off or just never using them. The button at the front right of the monitor turns on HDRI. Basically, it's a mode switcher for either HDR or SDR content, and it modifies things like contrast, sharpness, and color. I let my brother take a look, and he did say that HDRI game looked better in gaming, so I'm gonna give BenQ props for that. Personally, I can do with or without. There's also plenty of other image modes. I'll show them all on the screen right now, and they all do various kinds of tuning on your image. These are all presets though. There is more image tuning that you can do yourself. There's color vibrance settings, black equalizer settings, and light tuner. They all do different things to tune your image and have different levels of it. Color vibrance does exactly what it says it does. It increases the color vibrance. Black equalizer makes dark areas on your screen brighter, and light tuner brightens up light areas that are too dim. For example, if you're looking into a shadowy area and the light on the outside suddenly goes dim. So if you're a competitive gamer that wants everything on the scene to be bright and clear, like in Escape from Tarkov, for example, that's a pretty gloomy game, then I guess that it is worth your time. But now we're getting to the end. Is it actually worth it? Well, this monitor has me torn. I tested it for 2 weeks and I absolutely loved it. The only thing is, it's kind of pricey. It retails for $699 US. You can find it for about $599 with coupon codes or when it's on sale. And in Canada, it's $850. And at this price point, it might seem really overpriced. And honestly, I thought so too. But then I started thinking, sure, you have other 32-inch monitors which are, cheaper than this one and offer some of those features. But if you try to find something that checks all of the boxes that this one does, so the same 1000R curvature, that's really hard to find. Equivalent response times, similar refresh rates, similar peak brightness, and the amazing speaker system that's into it, and of course all the rest of the features, you'll see that the price, regardless of the brand, will go up as those features are added. Look at the G7 from Samsung. Samsung, for example. It's $799. So is it overpriced? Not according to my experience with it, at least not if you find it for $599. The real question is, would you be willing to spend that kind of money for a monitor with all of those features? Sometimes all you want from a gaming monitor is just that, a gaming monitor. No frills, no features, just a nice, accurate display with a high refresh rate and a fast response time. So if you're one of those people, well, this monitor might just not be it for you. Anyways, that concludes my review of the BenQ EX3210R. If you have any extra questions about it, leave it down below. As usual, you can click right here to see the latest video, right here to subscribe to the channel. I'm planning on doing way more reviews in the future, so stay tuned for that. It's gonna be pretty cool. So yeah, stay frosty, my dudes, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.